Hey guys, welcome to The Food Fix, the show where we solve real problems from actual kitchens. Today, I'm going to chat with Cortney, and she is on a serious time crunch. She wants something that she can have for dinner and take for lunch the next day. Let's see if we can help her out.
My name is Cortney, and my husband and I, we just had a new baby girl. We find that cooking is often something that gets pushed off to the side because we just don't seem to have time between everything else or the energy. That's one of the things we really need help with.
That makes sense, Courtney. So your trouble is just finding time to cook. But when you can, what kind of flavors do you like to work with?
Mostly something that's really simple to make, so that either myself or my husband could make it.
Okay.
But then, because there's only the two of us and a baby, we don't need a huge recipe, but it's nice to have some leftovers for the next day.
Courtney, is there any specific cuisine you guys are drawn to?
My husband really likes Mexican food.
Oh, that's great.
But not super spicy food.
Nice.
All right, I can work with that.
We're not very experimental with our food. We kind of tend to stick to the basics.
All right, Courtney, I'm really excited to help you guys out. I'm gonna get started on your food fix. Before I get to my food fix for Courtney, I wanna thank Sabra for sponsoring this web series. They make an incredible line of hummus flavors, everything from roasted garlic to red pepper. But my favorite is their supremely spicy. And when they say spicy, it packs a serious kick. The way I like to eat it is just with a lot of chopped up veggies. Probably the most frequent question I get asked is how to cook when you don't have a lot of time. And Courtney is on the right track by finding meals that you can have for dinner and lunch the next day. Because she likes big, hearty flavors, I recommend that she starts making these great Baja chicken wraps. So the dressing for these wraps is basically like a light ranch dressing, and you could absolutely just use store-bought ranch if you want. But if you want to make it a little bit lighter, just use some yogurt or Greek yogurt if you want. Scoop that into your bowl. And then we're gonna add to that some chives. Just roughly chop those up. Try not to spill them all over the place. The juice from about one big lime. A big pinch of salt and pepper. And just a little bit of olive oil. Stir this all together and you'll have a great light yogurt dressing for your wraps. Now that our dressing is done, let's talk about these wraps. They have three basic layers. The first layer is just rice. And I like to make my rice in advance and freeze it, almost kind of like instant rice. If you check out my blog, there's a great post on how to do that. The second layer for these wraps is grilled chicken. And I grill my chicken with a light marinade of lime juice, olive oil, a little bit of chili powder, and cumin. Just a few minutes per side until it's cooked through. A quick tip on chicken breast. If you butterfly it in half and grill it that way, it actually cooks a lot faster and it's easier to chop up too because the pieces are more even. The last layer of these wraps is just veggies. For one, I like to use a really crunchy lettuce. I hate it when you get a burrito with lettuce in it and there's like a big piece of lettuce. So I like to dice my lettuce really fine before I add it into my burrito. For the tomatoes, I like to use grape tomatoes. They're always available, they're really fresh, and they don't get mushy at all. So I just cut mine sort of into quarters, and that's a perfect size for a wrap. The last thing I like to put in these is a little avocado. Just cut this in half, give it a twist, just slice her up here. Perfect, okay. When I'm slicing up my chicken, I like to keep it in pretty thin strips, really nicely seasoned. It'll be delicious in there. And there's plenty for lunch the next day too. All right, let's make some wraps. So as you can see, we have some monster tortillas here today. Perfect for like a dinner-sized portion. You could use a smaller one if you wanted to for lunch the next day. Now, I like to start with a good layer of rice. You don't need to go crazy. You don't want it to be like all rice like you get at some restaurants. I'm not gonna name any names. Then let's add some chicken. Then we're gonna add on a little bit of dressing here. Just kind of spoon this on top. And then all those wonderful veggies that we chopped. Some tomatoes diced up, a bit of lettuce, and finally some avocado. Now let's roll it up. You just want to kind of tuck the sides over like this, and then just fold it up and keep it nice and tight. You can kind of pull it back a little bit as you roll, and that helps keep everything in there. Now, if your tortillas are cracking at all, you can actually microwave them for like 10 seconds and it'll loosen them up and make it super easy to roll. So that's pretty much it. You have 2 nice dinner wraps ready to go. This recipe makes enough wraps for dinner and lunch the next day, so you should be all set. I hope, Cortney, that this really helps you plan your meals and cook something fresh and delicious. Thanks for watching The Food Fix. Be sure to subscribe and check out a future episode where we'll tackle another real kitchen problem. Looks pretty good. A little bite.